A brutal day in the mountains in La Vuelta Espana Femenenina. No hiding on Lagunas de Neila. We'd see who would be the strongest. Riders would lose a heap of time. With gradients this steep, one increase of the pace, one attack would mean there would be gaps everywhere. They go two-thirds of the way up Lagunas de Neila, they turn off and then they descend, come back and do it again. So pretty attritional race for the women. FDJ Suez, all eyes on them despite SD Works having the leader. It's the day for the small inner chainring. Lovely hermitage there. I would like to live there, actually. I think it looks pretty nice. And in the head of the race, we had a breakaway, mostly a sort of classic style sprinters, no major threat for GC. Little Trek and FDJ Suez wanted to keep their GC leaders safe and in front. Before we begin the first rep of the climb, Marianne Vos takes the intermediate sprint points behind the breakaway uncontested, and FDJ Suez begin controlling this race. Kat Ferguson placing Lippert and Royce very, very well. Got 4 FDJ Suez riders, and already riders are dropping, some riders crashing even. Muzic hits the front early though. 3Ks to go on the first rep. She's in the polka dot jersey. Femke Heritzer, who's in the leader's jersey, the red jersey, she crashes or is caught up in one two-thirds the way down the peloton with 2.2Ks to go on the climb. And then Lebu starts pacing. So I think FDJ Suez, they wanted to make it hard, clearly, for Demi Vollering, and then Muzic comes back to the front. When you turn off this main road, they go onto a narrower, very, very steep road for the last 1.5Ks. So her and Lebu were alternating, but Muzic goes a little bit over her limit, accelerates a bit too hard. Cedrine Kerbel for EF, who they picked up this year, she's looking very, very good. Whenever you see a rider coming up the inside on the steepest section of a bend on a very steep climb, then you know they feel good if that's where they choose to move up. But then there's a stalemate. Lebu was on the limit, nearly dropping. If anyone had attacked, her and Muzic would have been gone, and then so Vollering waits. And there was a risk here. 21Ks. Okay, the last climb's really hard. Vollering is probably going to be the best, but there's a big risk here. If Kerbel gets away, if Royce gets away on this descent, and Niewiadoma and Kerbel were going so hard they were almost crashing each other, Royce backed out of that corner big time. There's gaps opening up here. Vollering has to close it, or Lebu has to close it, and then Kerbel actually runs herself wide through that corner. So I think FDJ Suez overpaced a little bit. There was a little bit of danger. The other GC contenders, they're not stupid. They know what's going to happen on the last climb. They want to use this opportunity to get ahead. Maybe Marion Bunel, who's the small climber, needed someone to go with her, but then they stop. A few riders come back. Meyering for Movistar, who's their second GC leader, she attacks. And Anna van der Breggen, look at her. She's scheming. She's scheming with Misha Bredevold, and she tells her to jump up the road to put pressure on FDJ Suez. But to be honest, FDJ Suez, they don't need to care about Misha Bredevold. What's she going to do? She just got dropped on the first rep. She's going to get killed on the second rep. But actually, Muzic, it works. The SD Work Pro Time plan works because Muzic starts overreacting. She's like chasing full gas. She should have just been setting a steady tempo, and then Lebu could do the work on the final Lagunas de Neila climb. Meyering actually gets nearly a minute lead, Bredevold 30 seconds, but both of them, as I said, no real threat on the final climb. And Muzic does a really, really strong pull, puts it in a line, and then Lebu begins to take over. In fact, attacks, I think, at the base when they get there. But very impressive from Muzic. We've got Chabocco and Ninka Vinka for Picnic Post NL, Rihanna Marcus and Nee Fisher Black for Little Trek. And here we go. They turn left again, same climb. Lebu hits it. And the bait is the other direction now. Anna van der Breggen. Van der Breggen starts chasing Lebu, pacing with Demi Vollering in the wheel. I found this quite curious because Demi is maybe not the virtual leader at this point, but she's the big, big favourite for this race. And everyone knows she's probably the major threat. But Van der Breggen was setting a pace behind Meyering when Lebu was gone. So Van der Breggen could have played chicken and said, no, Vollering, you chase Roy Ackers with me in the wheel. Now, they're on 12, 14% gradients. The draft isn't the biggest, but at least psychologically, I found it strange that Van der Breggen took it upon herself to pace. It went down to, she was setting a hard pace too. It's down to a group of 5 or 6 riders. So it's not like she's just riding tempo either. She's dropping pretty much everybody else except the top favourites. And then Demi Vollering says, thank you very much. 2.9Ks to go. I'm going to step off you. And Van der Breggen doesn't react. That's what's very strange. Like, no reaction. Maybe, I think, a very, very hard attack from Vollering, which, because the gradients are so steep, you can't see like how hard she's going. And Royce maybe even went over the limit a little bit. And Vollering drops her about 15 seconds later. You can see her trying to get her breathing back under control as she settles into threshold again with all the riders dropped. And that's the race. well, this stage at least, because we still have 2 stages to come and we know anything can happen in La Vuelta. Marlen Reusser, best climbing level of her career. She looks so good. Really, really impressive. To hold Vollering in your sight on a climb this steep, to put Van der Breggen and the whole GC field of pure climbers behind you. And I feel bad for Reusser. Both the Grand Tours this year don't have an individual time trial where she can actually take time back. So, and they don't even have moderate climbs, just these ramp-ass climbs. I mean, that comes with the territory in Spain, of course. But Demi Vollering, big win for her. Big win for her confidence, taking the GC lead as well in this Vuelta Espana. Taps her head afterwards. We'll hear a bit more on that in the interview too. And yeah, just obliterates the field really. Van der Breggen really blew up at the end. Reusser held it pretty stable on 24 seconds and Van der Breggen 1:56. Royakis didn't come back to Van der Breggen. 1:10. Osterlatzer paced really well. Then Korbel, Bunel, Labu, Rihanna Marcus and Valentina Cavallari. Here's what Vollering had to say after the race.
Demi Vollering, what an amazing victory. How do you feel?
I feel good. I'm really happy to win this stage, and yeah, I'm very proud of the work we did as a team. Last days I had it a bit more difficult. I think someone close to me goes through a really hard time mentally. And I see that too much around me, young people who struggle mentally. So today I did everything I could, because mentally I know I'm very strong. Because of my mentality I can win beautiful races, but some people, their mentality, their brain is a bit too strong in the wrong direction, and they struggle and suffer so much with their mental health, and it's still such an unknown problem in this world. So today my win was a sacrifice for all the people who have really hard time mentally.
Thank you for your words and enjoy this victory.
Thank you.
In terms of GC, as I said, Vollering goes into GC lead, 45 seconds ahead of Van der Breggen, then 46 ahead of Reusser. Big gap to 4th off the podium, Korbel on 1:49, but we got some stages to come. We got a punchy stage tomorrow, and we got a really hard mountain stage on Saturday, which I'm looking forward to. Hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you at the recap then. Ciao.